right. Welcome, welcome. We're back.
Back to Keys and Gears.
Keys and Gears. And shout out to my mom, who on a previous episode left a message to us, direct messaged us to say, well, I want to hear about Mark's story.
Oh boy. Do we have that much time? No, I don't want to bore people.
So here's my ask. We talked about just building wealth through real estate investment.
Right.
And you are the money gear
yes.
of a real estate
I work
transaction.
on the gears that bring the money.
Exactly.
Right.
So segue to you, share a little bit more about you, and then feed into investing real estate, if you will.
Well, I started my real estate life in my 20s when I became a real estate agent, much like yourself. And so I became a realtor, worked in the business for 17 years, built a brokerage, sold the brokerage, and decided to get out of real estate and do other things. And one of the things I did was financial planning. Did not like the industry, but I learned a lot. And that brought me back to financial side of things, which is kind of my brain, kind of wired that way. And so I thought, why don't I try mortgages? It's real estate related. I have a lot of ancillary skills when it comes to that. And so I decided to get into mortgage business and became a mortgage broker. And so these days I use all three: my real estate experience, my financial planning experience, and now my mortgage experience. So that's why it's uniquely qualified to help people with their financial investments, how they fit into your real estate and how does real estate fit into your financial investments. So that's kind of the background. To your question, real estate is, the wealth class in this country. The reason why this country is so wealthy is not because they have a lot of stock, not because they own a lot of
paper
investments, not because of their 401k. It's
right.
because of real estate. And it's a fact that the foundation of the true wealth in this country is all based on real estate. That should tell you.
And brick.
That should tell you something. And while most people are investing in their 401k, and they should, especially if your company's matching it, I mean, you'd be a fool not to, right? Even if you're investing in all of that, don't ignore the opportunities in real estate. And you may say, I don't want to be a landlord. That's fine. Mm-hmm. There's investments you can do to play in the real estate market without actually owning it.
How do you feel about syndication? Is that your real estate side and your financial planning side?
There is no right or wrong investment as long as it's right for you. So for some people, that's perfectly fine, right? It depends on how dirty you want your hands to get. And if you want to be completely hands off, you're going to pay higher fees, right? So you're gonna lose some of your investment because you got to pay somebody to do it. That needs to be balanced with, is it worth your time to do it yourself? In most people's cases, they don't have the knowledge, the time, the expertise, the patience to be doing it themselves. So it depends on which real estate investor you're talking to. It's different answer for different people. There's REITs, there's syndicates that you can invest in, there's limited partnerships you can invest in, all kinds of things. Or you can do it yourself. You can come up with enough money to buy your own investment property and have a portfolio. You have it managed by a real estate professional, for example, or by a management company that does nothing but that. But it is a job. It's a part-time job when you own real estate and do it yourself.
I've been told by my investors that once they hit about 5 properties,
yes,
is where it becomes a full-time job, really.
And really, I would suggest that if your goal should be to have at least 5, because anything less than 5 is probably not worth the investment, so to speak.
More like a hobby kind of thing.
It just does not compound as much as it should. Then it becomes more of a savings account, less of an investment.
Got it. And you're defining investment in this case as cash flow, like mailbox money, and also
good question.
Wealth build,
so
value build, or
ideally you want both. Ideally you want a positive cash flow return on the properties that you own, as well as appreciation. It just depends on the location, because a lot of locations you won't have both. You have one or the other. But if you don't have the cash flow, you may have negative cash flow, where the rent isn't quite covering the mortgage payment. At that point, you have tax write-offs, right? So it helps you on your other income to write off those losses, right?
All those things.
So it has benefits on that side. If you have, no appreciation, but you have good cash flow, then you got to invest that cash flow and make more money with it, right? So, ideally you want both. Ideally, you want rental properties that do both, give you positive cash flow and appreciation.
Is there such a way to do it as it has all three, including leveraging, was it the 5 different tax deferment or tax?
Yes, tax deferment is really the name of the game. And, when you talk to tax advisors, it's really, you want to defer taxes as long as you can. And some people defer them forever, generation to generation to generation, right? And that's kind of what the billionaire class does a lot. So, you can learn from that. It gets very complicated. Right. So you got to, again, weigh out, are the benefits there for you to incur that kind of complication? Because with complication comes a lot of expense. You got to pay for that expertise to set it up correctly to be, beneficial to you, which means it can cost you quite a bit of money to set it up correctly and manage it. So depends on what kind of real estate investor you want to be. And, it's, for most, if you made some money in Bitcoin and you want to invest in something else more tangible, I would highly recommend start a real estate portfolio. Really, you need a 25% down payment for most of these investment properties.
For non-owner occupied purchases.
Non-owner occupied, correct. If you're lucky enough to buy a duplex, to find a duplex in the price range that you want to buy in, buy a duplex. Live in one half. If you're a young person, move into half the duplex and rent out the other half and support your monthly payment with that. And in 2-3 years' time, you have enough money saved up to buy the next one. So the younger you start, the better, because you can ladder it up. You can keep adding to the portfolio. You can leverage that portfolio to buy another one. But I don't recommend people doing less than 25% down on investment property. Is that
because the interest rate is going to be so much exponentially higher?
The interest rate is going to be much higher, but also just because the less of a mortgage you have, the better. The less interest you pay, the better. So,
that makes sense because the interest is cutting into your ROI.
ROI, exactly. Your
return on investment.
Future profits are being, eroded by that interest rate. And so it's a trade-off. And also I don't recommend it because if you don't have 25% down, you may not be financially able to purchase investment property. It may not be for you yet.
I want to raise my hand though. But Mark, I've been listening to podcasts and all these things, and they keep talking about using other people's money to get where I want to go. Are you telling me they're all
they're not
truthful?
They're not. I'm conservative when it comes to money, so I don't like people going into this cash poor. And so if they're barely scraping by, owning this investment property, it's a bad idea. You and I know over the 20 plus years in real estate, how many things can go wrong in a house and how much they cost to fix, right? So if you don't have extra money to pay for these things, you probably should not be investing in real estate.
Fair enough.
So you need the down payment to show that you're serious, to yourself, serious, as well as the lender. But the lender can do 20% down. But I just don't recommend it. That extra 5% makes a big difference. And then you need to be realistic with yourself and say, I have the 25% down. What kind of reserves do I have?
For the just in cases.
For
the
just
months
in case.
It's not rented.
Right.
For the water heater that blows up.
Exactly.
In the middle of the night, and you got to pay an exorbitant fee for a plumber to come out.
Right.
For paying possibly for the tenant to go stay in a hotel while you
Correct.
get everything fixed.
Yes.
You don't get sued.
Yes.
Those are all the unsexy things that people talk about when it comes to real estate investing.
Yes. And having a management company really helps with that. Being
the right
management company. Absolutely. That's a whole nother episode. But I think we'll probably have another episode just based on what should I do if I really want to get into investing. Mm-hmm. But as a 30,000-foot view, have the cash saved up for 25% down.
Great takeaway. Okay.
Have enough reserves so that you can do 3, 4, 5 months of mortgage payment without a tenant. because those days
the
are going to
help.
happen. An eviction process is a 3-month process, right? So you're going to be without a, by the time you realize they really can't pay the rent anymore, it's probably 5 months out.
Fair enough.
In most of my experiences that I've had as a landlord, it was more like 5 months because I gave them a month grace. Then the next month they said, I almost have it. They may pay me a little bit. And then all of a sudden it's crickets. And I don't hear from them. They're blocking my calls. They're, so been there, done that.
Wow,
So
we ripped off a Band-Aid there.
in my experience, it's better to have 6 months saved up than less, in terms of making those payments. So with that being said, I think we kind of covered the bases, and but we have a new segment that we want to start.
Yes,
which I think is super exciting and cool, because it's like things people don't think about, right?
So I was sharing with Mark. This all came out because I was sharing with Mark. I was like, Mark, you would not believe.
Right.
And so here, well, thank you.
There
Right
we
behind
go.
us, look at this. So that little copper stem that you see coming out of the brick wall right there, that just doesn't look very sexy at all.
Yes, the little one.
The little one. Okay, that is a plumbing stub for.
Looks like gas line,
For
right?
a gas line, and the idea is it was put in there and was spec'd by the architect and or the homeowner after the fact, or while it was in process, while the home was being built, to add a gas grill, i.e. an outdoor kitchen at some
Right.
point in the future.
Right.
Not uncommon.
Right.
I mean, national builders do
handy
that
to
to
have.
you.
Yeah.
Sure. Like if you go to build a new house with a national builder, they'll say at the design center, do you want to spend $250
Right.
on a plumbed
Put it-
gas line? So that's what that looks like. By the way, to the left, that silver box that's all corroded, that is the actual gas supply box into the house. Here's a bonus safety tip. Don't let it get corroded and all that like that.
Yeah.
And a plumber will tell you, and here Mark and I will tell you at no plumbing fee, that you need to spray paint that with a good grade,
Like the rest of it is painted.
like the rest of
Yeah.
it, with a good grade spray paint. But anyway, I digress. So Mark, what do you think is keeping the current homeowner from building that stellar, amazing outdoor kitchen? Let me
Well,
show you.
Probably money.
You think money?
Well,
We're
it's
gonna
not
we'll
cheap.
show you.
Oh boy.
Oh wait,
Yeah.
it is one of 3 air conditioning units
Where would the
that are
grill go?
installed right next to it. So I have no idea how they are going to
You would need
install an
like
outdoor
a
kitchen.
10-foot pipe to come out.
So
to,
this home is for sale.
Crazy.
Obviously, not having an outdoor kitchen this day and age post COVID is
Right.
a big deal.
and it looks like a pretty
especially-
recent construction too,
It
judging by how the brick
is.
looks and everything
It was
else.
built in 2019.
2019.
So fairly recently. Guess, and this is in Richardson, Texas. Guess the price point on this house. Not that there's a lot to go on, but
how
you could say
big?
with the design flaw, you'd have to say.
How big?
It's 5-bedroom, 4.5 bath.
Okay. And square footage wise, about what?
I might give it away. It's it's about 3,800 square feet.
I would say 850.
Bang. No, it's for sale a little over 1.2 million.
1.2 million.
1.2
wow.
million.
I expect more.
Right? You would think at 1.2 million, some would have figured out.
What they
little-
purchase? What
There
they
you go.
buy?
So that just
Do you know
proves
what
to
they buy it for?
Money does not buy you common sense.
No, money does not buy common sense or, taste. So interesting. So what did they buy it for? Do you know?
What do you mean?
Like when they originally built it? What?
So the sellers right now are actually the ones that built the
Yeah.
house. It gets
Wow.
even more
Yeah.
interesting all the time.
I wonder what they
And they
paid
were
for it.
surprised they don't already have offers on it.
Yeah.
It is priced a little over where it should be.
Yeah.
It does back up to one of the beautiful creeks in Richardson, which, by the way, people are surprised in Texas we do have creeks.
Yep.
So there you go.
All right.
We'll save some of the
Yes, we have
some of
more
the other surprises
for another
next
time.
time. There you go.
Well, this is another great episode of Keys and
Yeah.
Gears. Thank you, Bess.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining me, Mark. Always good to have
Absolutely.
you. You are the gear that drives those keys, and I'm so thankful for you.
Thank you. And
Catch you next time.
subscribe down below.
There you go.
Follow us.
We still got to figure out a closing. Bye.